Hello and welcome to My Arabian World's coverage of the Expo 2020 Dubai, a once-in-a-lifetime celebration and the greatest showcase of human brilliance and achievement. Staged under the theme Connecting Minds Creating the Future, Expo is divided into districts and zones that reflect the event's subthemes: opportunity, mobility, and sustainability. The UAE Pavilion is located at the heart of the nearly 500-acre exhibition site in the Al Forsan zone. Symbolic of the UAE's pioneering spirit and ambition, the design draws inspiration from the falcon, the national bird of the UAE, and represents the nation's boundless vision for the future through 28 movable wings in symphony that propel innovation and human evolution. Numerous radial pathways surrounding the pavilion allows you to experience it from 360 degrees, similar to the way in which the UAE has welcomed citizens and people from all corners of the world. The spectacular architecture of the UAE Pavilion, reflecting the country's history and ambitions, encompasses a total of 15,000 square meter area and 27.8 meters in height, making it the largest pavilion at Expo 2020. The four-story pavilion is topped by a series of locally produced carbon fiber wings that each pivot around a single point that can be opened in 3 minutes, covering a range of 110 and 125 degrees, or closed to shelter the roof solar panels. The landscaping surrounding the pavilion contains 80 trees and over 5,600 plants, of which 2,350 are considered to be of cultural importance to the UAE. The visitor's experience begins by taking us back to where it all began, in a tranquil desert oasis surrounded by soothing and historically symbolic water features and UAE's natural environment. The garden invites you to rest, refresh, and relax. The plants displayed in the garden sustained our ancestors for generations. They were vital in their daily lives, and we continue to treasure them today. They connect us to our roots and support biodiversity and desert greening. The UAE Pavilion stands as a symbolic interpretation of the flow of movement, designed with carefully curated lines and spaces that blend with its surroundings of greenery, shaded arcades, and cantilevered wings. Upon entering the grounds of the UAE Pavilion, we are given tickets with numbers. Every 5 minutes or so, the numbers change one after the other on totems across the garden to indicate when it's your turn to make your way inside the pavilion. Since the pavilion only allows a certain number of people at a time, we are encouraged to explore the garden or sit on traditional tikia couches nested beneath the shade of the floating wings. Once you see your number appear on one of the totems, we are guided toward the sunken gardens along ramps that create lingering moments and captivating vantage points to capture the pavilion and the Al Wasal Dome, the heart of Expo Dubai. The UAE's breathtakingly audacious building serves as an extension of the country and demonstrates the country's commitment to innovation and sustainability, while continuing its contemporary legacy of commissioning landmarks that become global icons. The UAE Pavilion celebrates a traditional irrigation system with this Falaj water channel, an architectural feature unique to the region. The Falaj was used by people in the Arabian Peninsula to bring water from its source, usually from the foothills of mountains, along with wells and wadis. One of the most popular Falaj irrigation systems in the UAE is at the Hilli Oasis in Al Ain, making the city the first Emirati site on the World Heritage List by UNESCO. It's time for us to head inside for an immersive multi-sensory guest experience. Upon entering, we are immersed in the story of the United Arab Emirates as we navigate our way through softly lit sand dunes, providing a dramatic contrast in light and atmosphere. At the Desert of Dreams, we are surrounded by real desert sand, taking us back to the era where the UAE people used to live only in the desert that shaped Emirati values. As we move deeper into the sand dunes, we encounter an interactive area where our shadows reveal a real picture that encapsulates UAE's nomadic life, a story of resilient people who can weather the most difficult situations while remaining optimistic. Back then, Bedouins lived and moved between the ocean, where pearl diving and fishing were the main forms of sustenance, the desert, where camels and herds roamed around to graze, and the oasis, where water sources and irrigation allowed for farming of dates and vegetables. Up ahead, we are met with an incredible structure, the Crossroad, symbolizing UAE's openness to the world. The art installation depicts UAE's ancient roots as a crossroad for people, goods, and ideas, to its transformation into a unified nation and home to people from over 200 countries. This part of the Desert of Dreams introduces visitors to the UAE's founding father, the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. He is and will always be known as a visionary leader and embodied the values of tolerance, unity, and the spirit of the nation, a legacy now infused and represented by the responsibility, camaraderie, and collaboration seen among all Emiratis and residents in the UAE. Sheikh Zayed's vision was driven by a passionate belief in leading by example, and this was the key essence behind his progressive socio-economic, sustainable development, and humanitarian vision. Drawing on the valuable lessons of the past while embracing progress, Sheikh Zayed placed great value in the importance of pursuing development in line with both the needs of present and future generations. Sheikh Zayed is known for being the leading force in uniting the Trucial states into a stable modern nation state, in other words, the founding father of the United Arab Emirates and the first president of the new state on December 2nd, 1971. With that in mind, the Unity Circle invites visitors to unite by walking in a circular motion until we see the colors on the ground bond together. This interactive circle demonstrates how we are all connected and united to the United Arab Emirates, no matter how different and diverse we are. Sheikh Zayed placed great emphasis on education and individual and social empowerment. This included addressing the welfare of the less fortunate in both the UAE and for others around the world. He was also a tireless advocate of protecting the heritage of the land, supporting and overseeing the implementation of a series of measures to protect the natural world and its resources. Sheikh Zayed's vision and now legacy is an enduring reminder of his astute foresight and wise leadership, attributes that will continue to shape the sustainable development agenda of the UAE as well as other countries around the world for many future generations to come. The many projectors you see here tell a story of unity of the seven Emirates, the building of a nation, and strength and diversity of the country. The UAE's rapid modernization is the result of the tremendous effort of Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan and our other founding fathers, working alongside the people of the UAE and international experts to plan and build this nation. The authenticity of Emirati life means to celebrate how people come together through similar human experiences. The screen you see up ahead is called the Mirage. When you come in contact with it, the sand opens up the vision for the future of the UAE, just like a mirage, an illusion in the desert. The more people there are in front of the screen, the faster the vision for the future opens up. The UAE owes their future to the strength of their everlasting values. The near future centers around creating and sharing knowledge for the benefit of all. While technology is advanced, it is used in service of a return to nature and community. As we enter this dark hallway, visitors discover multi-generational UAE families within their own environment and emerge into their special qualities. Timeless ambition and resilience are the bonds that connect us across generations, and this space is a celebration of traditions and collective progress on a human scale. The location, clothes, and what they are doing in each picture all reveal something about why they are special. Visitors get to see how the UAE is living peacefully alongside others, regardless of their gender, race, or religion, all while treasuring their heritage. At the end of this dark hallway is a sphere-shaped auditorium with a capacity of 200 people. The movie we're about to see follows the story of Osha from childhood to adulthood, where the audience experiences hers and the UAE's transformation. But it's not just an ordinary show, as the seats are actually a lifting platform that brings the audience up as the show progresses. Enjoy the show. The story of Osha celebrates in a direct, human, and touching way the values that drive the UAE's vision for collective progress. As we just witnessed, by pairing fierce ambition with humanity, anything becomes possible. The sphere-shaped auditorium we just exited from looks like a giant pearl at the center of the 15,000 square meter pavilion, the beating heart of the Falcon. Our virtual tour ends under the brightness of the Oculus as we step into the future of the UAE, inspired and informed by the dreamers who are shaping a better tomorrow through technology, self-driving vehicles, sustainable solutions, and research labs. The dreamers who do embody the UAE story every day and how they contribute to the society, inspire the community, and pursue their dreams. To name just a few of the dreamers who inspired us with their stories were a professor who developed techniques to desalinate water and protect it as a vital resource, a doctor who created asphalt from recycled tires to be used for pavements and road constructions, a professor who worked on technologies that facilitate rainfall in dry regions, a doctor who developed regenerative stem cell inhalation therapy for medical treatments, an organic farmer who redefines biodiversity and food security through sustainable agriculture in the desert, an environmentalist who conserves mangrove ecosystems to combat climate change, an electrical engineer who created a device to stimulate brain plasticity to help teach writing to children and reteach it to stroke patients, and to finish, a biomedical engineer who created a rapid system to test hormone levels. All the individuals you just seen here in the last part of our tour demonstrates how the UAE embraces openness, champions culture, nurtures entrepreneurship, and creates and shares knowledge for the benefit of all. Another architectural feature worth mentioning is the structure of the Oculus skylight. Integrated within the roof, the Oculus is placed at a height of 27.8 meters and mirrors the form of the Expo 2020 logo. Our virtual tour has now come to an end, but we hope the UAE Pavilion inspired and evoked profound emotions in you. Before you go, do us a favor, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time!